What's going on, everybody? It's Devin Thomas back with another episode of Unscripted. It's been a good week. It's been a long week. It's been a fucking really busy week. Honestly, I'm tired as fuck even right now, but can't go without doing the pod. I have to do it. But yeah, it's been a long week to say the least. We've been doing a lot of showings. The house has been on the market for like a week and a half now, not even. And dude, we've had tons of people come through, a lot of activity, a lot of interest, and with all that interest comes a lot of planning and doing other shit like prepping the house for open houses and shit. And it's just been fucking exhausting. Also, like I said, like I kind of talked about this on the pod last week, but I'm like living in my current house, but fucking not really. Cause like everything is like staged for a fucking showing. I'm really just using my bed. I ate here like once last week. Otherwise, I've been out at my parents'. I've been fucking eating there. Uh, don't even have food in the house. Like I got like fucking basic necessities, a couple apples and some water bottles hanging around, but it's been fun. It was really annoying at first. Steve and I were talking about it, but it's like, you kind of have a routine, you have a pattern. And like at first I was annoyed. I'm like, oh, my routine is disrupted. And now I'm kind of like, well, fuck it. Like, I don't really remember what my routine was. It's been disrupted enough that I'm like, well, I'm doing new shit. I'm trying new places. I'm going out earlier. I'm doing stuff I wouldn't normally do. All because like my old routine is kind of like, I feel like I've like kind of already moved out, if that makes sense, from this house and this like lifestyle at this house. And I'm kind of like, all right, well, now I'm in like a fucking, like I kind of said it last week, creative purgatory, but also like purgatory of like living situation. I'm kind of in a liminal space in life where it's like, I have this house, but it's not like everything's packed up. It's like moved out. And, going to my parents to like shower and do stuff, it's fine, but it's just, I'm not home yet. I'm homeless to some extent until I get into the new place, but not really homeless because kind of like between three places right now, if you think about it. Not three, but the new place, escrow, we're getting close. But anyways, I'm excited about the new place too. We've been going out there a lot this week, just checking it out. It's dope. I really actually, kind of fell in love with the place. At first, I was like, all right, this seems like a good decision. But now I'm like, this is a fucking great house. Like, I actually am excited to live in this place. So it'll be dope. We spent a lot of time out there just looking at stuff, seeing what needs to be done, like basic stuff and like home reports, inspections, all the fucking bureaucratic bullshit that comes with buying a house. And it's been fun this time because like when we bought the first house, we were really like, this is like a fucking, it was exciting to the extent that we were fucking like really excited about like the house, but also there's like a youthful perspective on it. Like this other purchase is way more mature and way more like we know what we're doing this time. Not that we didn't know before, but like financial point of view and all that stuff. This one's like a very like this is a mature decision to do, but it's also like I don't know. The house is so dope. It's just I'm excited. I'm so fucking excited to get into this new place and just start like a new chapter. So that's really what I've been up to this week. Been just fucking like I said, moving and not moving like literally moving shit in a truck from one place to another location, but like getting ready, just going through the experience of moving. That's what I'm saying. Anyways, been a lot of fucking work. It's been tiring, like I said, and I'm really excited to just fucking get on with it, get on with it, get into the new place and get back to work. Speaking of getting back to work, I mean, Stevie's health has been way fucking better. He's been, I think he's kind of gotten down to the root of the problem, which is unbelievably, I think, tonsillitis. I know this like, look, I've talked about his health on here so many times throughout the past year, many pods, starting with a little health update. But dude, he really like the other day, like he like took a picture of his like throat, his tonsils, and there's this like thing on there, and he looked it up, put it through chat, and it says looks like a tonsil stone. And he's like, well, this like has all the symptoms. I'm like, I don't know how many fucking doctors you've seen, how many medical professionals he's gone to, and not one fucking person looked in there and did the old fucking popsicle stick, like say with the tongue, and like looked in and said, hey, there's something in there. A whole year. I mean, albeit there may have been other things that made him ill or feel bad, but like I joked with him, I'm like, how can you trust these fucking doctors if they can't even do like a 101? Like, I guess he should have gone to a pediatrician if that would have been the fucking problem. You know what I mean? Anyways, the fucking kind of mystery solved. He went and saw a dentist today. Actually, he's going tomorrow. He went and it was like a misscheduling. But besides the point, he went to the dentist and they fucking told him he couldn't go. Anyways, fuck, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I guess that's fucking the big mystery solved though. I think he's gonna be better after this, and that's given us the fucking ability to get back to work. So moving into the new house, him being like 99%, almost 100% better, it's just good. He's almost there, almost to the finish line of his health crisis, if you want to call it that. But yeah, he's been in good spirits. We've been talking a lot about what we're gonna do next, new ideas, just a bunch of shit, even right now, like I have to like set up like all the fucking gear every single time I shoot one of these pods now. And it's been a little difficult to like with my studio, the way it was set up before, it was just so quick. It was like boom, 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 boom. Like I just fucking set it up. I had a routine, like once again, routine. I was talking about schedule and shit. And now shooting the pod like this, like, even today, I'm like doing something different. I'm using a fucking different room. I'm in a different place. I've been using different software to record. I've been doing everything different. And it's still, it's still coming out fine, but it's just been a little bit more work to produce an episode. And I realized like how like good my system was before. And I'm excited to have that set up at the new place. We were actually checking out the fucking garage there, and I'm like, low key, like this garage, because like here's my take on the garage these days. Who really uses their garage to park a car? Maybe you have laundry out there. Usually it's storage for shit, you know, garbage, whatever, maybe not garbage, but cans, etc., boxes. It is fucking like an extra, couple hundred square feet in the house. I'm like, dude, what if we just put down flooring out here? I don't know, fucking home theater, or just like even like for this house particularly, I'm like, this could low key be the living room. But as it was at this house, I had the garage set up for my podcast studio. I think I can do the same thing there. I'm definitely going to do that there. So like I've been like planning for that, kind of like I've even been doing like renders on chat. Like I'll just take a picture. I'm like, all right, like how can I fucking make this room look how I want? And it's been funny to see like the transformations you can do, which is crazy. It's one of the, blessings of modern technology. You don't have to fucking hire someone to come and fucking sketch it out for you and be like, this is how it would look. It's like I can get a reference pretty quick, and then you kind of see what works and doesn't work. Like, oh, glad we didn't like try and do that before fucking just like taking a look and seeing how it might have looked before. But anyways, excited to get another studio built up. I'm gonna build it all the way out this time too, because like, dude, honestly, podcasting has become something that I'm just fucking really into. I just enjoy doing it, to be quite frank, and like I feel like I'm ready to take the next step with it. Maybe just not even more aggressively, but just more expansive. Like maybe do more like I'd like to say group pods, but even just more interviewing, more talking to people. I do like the energy of a group pod. Like it can be really great. And it's something that I just want to do more of. I've done a few in the past year, and like they're always fun. Like I never like look back and think like, oh, like uh that wasn't a good experience. I'm like, fucking the group pod's always fun. The solo pod I love too though, because I do go back. Like this is something too. Like I follow people in podcast forums and shit, and they talk about like, do you ever listen to your own pod? And people are like, never, just record and release. I'm like, are you fucking kidding? Like it sounds indulgent, like kind of like not even selfish, but self-indulgent rather, to listen to your own voice. But honestly, like I do it, and sometimes it's like help me get like better at it and stuff. But anyways, I digress. It's been I'm missing my old studio for the sake of my production. I have a great production system, and I'm missing that right now. But yeah, that's been kind of my week. I guess one other thing too was going out to no, I said it. We went out to the new house, been spending time with my parents. Stevie's health's better. Yeah, everything's been going good. Been going really good. What else did I do this week? This week, actually, it's funny. I thought a lot this week about like independent filmmaking. Stevie and I had a big talk about just like movies because he's been feeling better. And we're like, all right, what are we gonna do next? Like, how are we gonna, push the ball forward? What are we gonna do? A lot of ideas. I think we have a very like similar point of view. Obviously, we're brothers, but it's kind of just like coming down to like obviously we're gonna do it ourselves, and we realize that like low key, like we've been kind of ahead of the curve the whole time. Not like Nostradamus status, but like I already like kind of thought like, hey, like technology's getting to the point where you can kind of make a movie yourself if you know what you're doing. I say you can make a movie, but like I'm saying like if you want to spend the time learning how to do it, you can do it. You can go out there and make a movie. But we put in the 10,000 hours. We put thousands and thousands and thousands of fucking hours into fucking learning how to make films, editing all over the years, and we've realized it's really a self-made thing. It's funny. Before I get into this tangent, I'll say this. This week we were hanging out. We kind of just been watching movies. I watched a few franchise and stuff. I'll get into that later. But we watched some old film studies movies I made on YouTube. I found one of my old YouTube accounts. And maybe I'll post these videos for everyone to see. They're funny because they're just, it's just me in high school and just fucking winging it. But It's funny how there's a lot of like what I do now still there, but I digress. We went back and watched these videos, and these are from like 16, 17 years ago. And it's just funny to see how far we've come. But we've always tried. We've always been independent. We've always just tried to make something and always just had fun with it. And like even seeing those videos, even Christine was like, wow, like you really can tell like how long you guys have been doing it. And I think that is like, that's a compounded effort and interest I'm talking about in terms of like investing and like learning and like doing it yourself, the DIY model per se. It's been, a long time building up to where we've gotten now. But with all the knowledge we had, I think with making like Peninsula Nights and like doing a low key, like kind of like skeleton crew movie, that was ahead of the curve. There's the Sean Bakers, there's like, the Swanbergs out there, the people that are making the indie shit. Like there's always those people like doing the low budget. I won't even specify mumblecore, just like low budget films. But like we went out and made a very modern movie with very modern technology with a very small group of people. We figured out a way to do it. And I think now, like, I see the messaging through like social media, other film influencers, if you want to call them that, not even podcasters or personalities, but people making content. I see the narrative. It's the narrative I've been talking about on Unscripted for the past year. Maybe we're going on a year and a half now. The writing was on the wall for me because I say that the podcast came after we made the movie. You got to understand that I was buying gear back in 2019 and 2020. I was gearing up. I knew because I saw the technological gap. I'm like, there's gonna be the ability to make a fucking film that's really good for really, not even cheap, but without a lot of people, without a huge crew. And for me, that's important. It's not even that I don't play well with others. It's just I like to be in control of what I'm doing. I look at filmmaking like painting. There's a lot of authorship within the filmmaking I'm doing. So getting geared up, Stevie and I saw the writing on the wall because he and I were like hive mind in terms of like the gearing up, thinking about how we're gonna make a movie. What are we gonna do? Testing, endless nights of just testing, and it's all kind of led me to the conclusion of what I've been seeing in the media now is like filmmaking because of Hollywood, how much it's changed, has become like it's not derivative. It's dependent on like, hey, like nobody can get into the old Hollywood. The gates are fucking up and they're very high unless you make something that's a hit or you fucking there's the outliers, right? But most of it right now, old stars, nepo babies, influencers. That's really who's like taken over Hollywood. For the people on the way out, and I'm not saying I'm on the way out, but what I'm saying is like the people that aren't connected, that don't have tons of money, that aren't related to somebody famous, that didn't grow up in LA, don't have that connection. They're going out and they're sick of fucking waiting. They're like, nah, like we're just gonna go make our own shit. We're gonna make our shit good. Maybe we're gonna make our shit even better than Hollywood. And maybe better is a fucking subjective word because you could have $100 million budget and still fucking shit the bed on a big picture. But if you're a fucking good indie filmmaker with an original idea, you can go out there and make something that people still want to watch. And it may be even better than what the fucking studios have got. I have their names in here, but there's a few indie guys in these last few years that have been putting out movies that have fucking, oh, I think I got their names down there. These indie guys that have been putting out movies on YouTube that have becoming the new like name directors in Hollywood. Not name directors, but the people that people want, the in-demand directors, right? So I've been seeing this happen. And I've also been like pushing for YouTube pretty heavily on Unscripted. I always say like Netflix's biggest threat and Amazon's biggest threat is YouTube. It is the biggest streaming platform in the world. It's got the most users. It's free. You can pay for fucking paid subscriptions, but like, I guarantee you like 90% of fucking people aren't paying for a fucking YouTube paid subscription. They're fucking just going direct onto YouTube, uploading for free. Even this show I upload every week is free. I don't have to fucking pay a nickel to fucking have Unscripted be hosted on YouTube for everyone to see anywhere in the world. It's pretty fucking sweet. And I think if you were one of these like YouTubers that become a filmmaker, like, God, what's this kid's name? I have it down here. Curry Barker. This kid made that movie Milk and Cereal, right? I don't know if you guys know him from his content. Apparently he was really famous. I didn't know him. I knew him from fucking the movie because I saw he bought like a Variety article and he had a ton of press and he had a ton of fucking I don't know, a lot of media surrounding the movie. There's a lot of hype and it kept saying like YouTuber makes this like horror movie and like it comes out or whatever, like it hit, whatever. So I watched it on YouTube and the movie was good. I didn't mind it. I thought it was well done for what it was and like original, it was something that played into his kind of persona already as YouTube. I think he's kind of like a prankster comedy guy and it kind of took like a dark left turn and it was good. I liked it. It blew up And then I saw like a year later, this kid just sold a movie for like, I think like 10 milli at fucking, maybe it was Sundance or TIFF, whatever. So his career went from like, kind of like, I'm a YouTuber. Then he's like, I think I'm going to make a movie, makes a movie, puts it out. It does well, has a nice fucking PR push. And then his fucking follow-up movie gets purchased, gets snatched up for 10 mil. And then guess what they say? Oh, I think we're gonna have this kid do the next Texas Chainsaw. It's just like, wow, like boom, 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 boom. Obviously, he's well marketed, he did everything right. But I guess what I'm saying is like this guy was just putting shit out on YouTube. He's not in the business, no famous parents, etc. Okay, well, that kind of like a signal to me, like, isn't that obviously where the business is headed then? Hollywood doesn't really know what to make, in my opinion. They're in a transition. They'll fucking find the right thing to make. They'll hit the fucking money bag. But the indie scene is like, well, we're not waiting for you, and the audience isn't waiting for Hollywood. Not anymore. If you look at like, I know they say Gen Z is going to the theater more than often, and probably I don't doubt that, but like what they're seeing is maybe specific to like cultural relevance versus like there's a whole other group of people that aren't Gen Z that aren't going or not being drawn in the same way they were, unless it's like a big one like Avatar or some fucking tentpole shit. That's also kind of a legacy film now. First one's in '09. Those are like sequels to an older film. I guess the audience is probably moving from the traditional model, even the streamers, to being like, well, fuck you, like, we're going to build our own network. We're going to build our own fucking ecosystem. And I think that's really what's happening. It's kind of like the 70s with Scorsese and all the fucking indie guys. It's kind of like the 90s with the fucking Tarantino Smiths and Rodriguez's. I think it's a cycle. The 2010s even had its renaissance. 2000s had its like fucking, waves of indie filmmakers. And I think the 2020 boom is just really good quality films made at home by good indie auteurs that will, bubble up. Because there's a ton of shit. The market's flooded. I don't think anyone's going to argue that with Tubi and all the platforms. There's a lot of movies being made, probably more than ever, but there's also a lot of shitty movies being made. And people probably don't want to hear that, but like there's a lot of bad. But it's like the fucking 1849. They're gonna have to fucking sift through the shit to pan for fucking gold. And I think that's what's gonna happen. I think by 2030 there will be a new, I guess, a new class of filmmakers that are gonna be running the ship. I think Hollywood is taking like it's gonna like dude, it's gonna a big buyout, big change of hands. What happens next, I think will definitely be dictated by like who's making shit indie now. I think those indie guys now, like this fucking guy, and then also I forgot to mention him, but Kane Parsons, he's directing the Backrooms film with A24, but he was just making those Backrooms videos on YouTube, and they got super viral, got super popular, and then they're like, hey, you know what? Like he's making something that the audience wants to see. It's got numbers, it's attractive, and not just numbers, but yeah, you got to have an audience. Like it is important to have those numbers and have actual fucking viewership. And they're like, well, fuck it, let's cap on him. He's making the shit. People are already watching. Let's give him a fucking chance. Let him go up to bat and see what he can do. And I guarantee you the movie's a hit. And I guarantee you this other fucking kid, the Curry Barker, his shit's going to be a hit too. Because they actually care. They're hungry. They're not some fucking corporate hack filmmaker or somebody who just doesn't really know what they're doing, that just got the job because they know somebody. They're real filmmakers and they're real artists. And like that, every now and then Hollywood needs to, kind of churn and fucking, find some new talent. So the attrition rate in Hollywood's big, but I think it's even bigger when you have what's going on right now, like the collapse of the crew, the collapse of like the blue collar filmmaker per se. And I know that's like it hurts for people to probably hear that, and there'll always be crews, but like crews have gotten minimized in Hollywood, and in particular Los Angeles. Like, it's just like, they're not really making movies in LA anymore. They're making them in fucking everywhere else but there. And like, God, I even saw a guy, this was a ridiculous clip, but he was on Instagram and he had a viral clip and he said like, hey, like I shot a movie in LA like 2 years ago. We put the movie out. It didn't make a ton of money. And he's like, and it's really like not even profitable, but we love the movie. But he's like, the city of Los Angeles is still taxing us on this film. And to tax a filmmaker years after they've made the movie and not even have it be profitable, but be like, you have to pay because you shot in Los Angeles. It's like they're asking you not to film there at this point. It freaked me out too, because like I do go rogue. I do film a lot of indie shit. And like sometimes, we just go out and do it. Let's just say that. And I couldn't imagine like putting out a movie that I shot and took a couple shots out of Los Angeles and getting something in the mail saying like, hey, like, by the way, you got to pay taxes on this shit. It's just like every indie filmmaker's probably nightmares to actually get like face the consequences of like fucking, getting a rogue shot or two out in public. So anyways, I do think the business is changing. I think that the independent filmmaker wave is about to hit fucking real hard, and there's gonna be a lot of new names rising to the top in that indie filmmaker wave. I really do. I think that's people are done waiting for Hollywood and they're done with the old model. They just don't give a fuck. That's my point. I think also people are done with like gatekeeping. They're like, well, if we have to wait for you to give us like the approval, like it's just never going to come. So yeah, I think also a lot of self-taught people, people that have just learned how to make a movie not just on their own, but like learn the gear, learn the process, learn the software. And I think I give this to YouTube as well. Once again, YouTube's a very like strange platform because you could be a Mr. Beast where you're famous for fucking content. And then you could also be a guy who's just making tutorials that is teaching people. And, I call it YouTube University. You can learn anything on YouTube, right? But that's if you put in the time and actually fucking put it to practice and stuff. Like, I speak broad strokes here, but like a lot of it is application. You can't just sit around and be like, I watched the video once. I'm a fucking, whatever. You got to put some fucking effort into it. But yeah, I think the autodidact era of filmmaking is very, very present. And maybe it always has been. We're living in this era of filmmaking. Like I'm sure back in the 70s when Scorsese was making those fucking early movies, or late 60s, he's probably learning all the gear and learning how to do it just like the other guys before him. And it's an endless cycle. People are people. We're always going to do what we want to do. But yeah, I definitely see that as the future of indie filmmaking right now, and that's the wave, and I'm trying to catch it, and I think a lot of people are, and like, and you know what, dude, I'm gonna be making movies forever anyways. I have no plan of stopping. I think even if I was fucking 100 years old and I could still make a movie, I'd do it because it's just something I like to do, and I think that's something I've also realized. It's like it's not about the money or the fame or the fortune. Like honestly, like I like my privacy to be quite frank. I like I know I put myself out there on the internet, but like at the same time, like, it's not why I'm doing it. I want to make good movies. I also want to make movies I want to see, and I want to make shit that like I think the coolest thing ever if you made a movie would to have it be part of like the conversation, if that makes sense. And that's just the conversation of cinema and culture. That's when I think you kind of know you've hit something that's struck with people. Because people are culture. People are the pop culture, the universe of shit that exists in the fucking, masses is fucking based off of the audience. The audience dictates that. You don't know who or what is going to strike, but if you do hit that, that's probably the most rewarding thing you can do is actual recognition versus like, the money or the fame or, dare I say awards. Cause I think like even a movie like say like Star Wars, like, I think it's won some awards. Like George Lucas hasn't been formally like given an Oscar himself for like being, a great director or a great fucking, producer, any of it. No best picture for him, right? But it's like, dude, he's so respected and he's such a big part of the culture of cinema. Like he is a defining figure in cinema and he always has been and always will be. But yeah, it's I think like, recognition and not even like you don't even need it. Like you don't even need the external validation. But for me, it's just making the movie. I just love it. I wouldn't put so much on the line or put so much effort into it if I didn't love it. And that's what I've realized. And Stevie and I kind of talked about it right too. Like, we're just gonna make sure we like. We're gonna make sure we love. Without also like the thing that I like about indie filmmaking as well is just like cap this point. I don't have to answer to anyone. I'm in full fucking control. We can do whatever we want. You want to run a fucking couple more takes? Great. And there's no financial pressure. This shit's owned outright. We're not on a fucking clock. We're not waiting for fucking anyone to tell us, like, hey, you got to get it back to the gear house. I've invested where it counts to give myself as much freedom and capability to go out and make a film as possible while also having, other financial revenues, let's just call it that, to sustain this lifestyle. We've kind of made a perfect situation, to say the least. And that's something that's been on our mind too. We just talked about a lot of stuff this week. But aside from all that talk, I'll cap that. I mean, I'll cap that with just like if you're, gonna do it, do it. Uh, I know I put the book out, The Filmmaker Mindset, and it has the affirmations, but like I've been reading that book. Like that's another thing I've been doing. I've been reading my own book like all fucking week, and I love it. I love reading it. I love the affirmations, and like just like it literally like reaffirms in yourself, like like your thoughts and the things you're thinking about are like valid. Like this is something that like I can identify with it because it's just fucking true. And I've been posting the affirmations actually on Instagram. That's another thing I've been doing this week. And I'm going to post all of them eventually. So like, if you don't buy the book, you'll be able to fucking see them on social media. And I've had friends reach out and like people repost them and say like, hey, like I'm actually fucking like about it because it's not everyone is just about filmmaking. Some of them are like truths that are like self-evident within yourself. In terms of like just like these truths, like when you hear them you're like that is true, like I know that about myself, or I know that about like how I feel. It's a lot about how you think, and I think that's what the book does for me. It triggers my mind back into that thought that maybe I had when I first read it, or like it's thought provoking. It makes you read that and then kind of like honestly I think it kind of helps you with like self-value and self-worth and like perception of the self of like, and that's what a mindset is, right? You are what you think about, right? Or what you consume. If you're consuming something that's like gassing you up and like kind of reaffirming all the things that you want to think about your artistic pursuit and stuff, it kind of puts you back in the mindset, quite literally into the filmmaker mindset, where you're like, yeah, that's like, where I need to be to like actually get this work done. Because I would never call filmmaking like you have to be delusional, but you have to have this like non-egotistical blind confidence. Because there's people with blind confidence that just fucking think like their shit don't stink and that they're fucking a perfect human being. And like everyone knows one, all right, But then there's also like this like a little bit of like, I'd even call it, dare I say, faith that things are gonna work out with the movie. When we went out and made Peninsula Nights, we were like, I have a blind confidence and faith that this is going to work. There was no ego in that fucking movie. Nobody was like, hey, like this is about me. It doesn't exist on a movie set. And if it does, you're on a fucking bad set. I can just say that much. Like everybody's there for the common goal. You're there to fucking accomplish the mission, which is making a movie. Everybody's there for that reason and that reason alone. And it doesn't have to be this big, intense, dramatic thing. Peninsula Nights, there's some intensity on set, but like it's because we were shooting in public. The stakes were high. Like we only had so much time to get it. The next thing we're doing, it's gonna be so much more. Like we're gonna have all the time in the world. Even with Peninsula Nights, we did. But my point more so is just, I think you have to have that little bit of faith and blind confidence. And if I have to say anything, like the filmmaker mindset does help you kind of get into that and like feel those feelings of just like what's I say, once again I said like reaffirming, but like reassurance even that you are very capable of just who you are right now. If you want to be a filmmaker or you want to be this or be that, and it doesn't have to be a filmmaker, photographer, astronaut, whatever you want to do. An astronaut, you might need some school, but like whatever you want to do, you can do it. You're the one getting in your own way. And like I said, if you follow me on social media and stuff, like the affirmations are getting posted anyways, just go read them. I'll post them every week. And like I said, eventually they'll all be out and just like read them and just like kind of like take it and leave it. I even say in the beginning of the book, like some of these like take if they mean something to you. If not, just like don't worry about it. That maybe that's a thought that meant more to me, not as much to you, or maybe you'll identify with it later. But just keep an eye out. I'll be posting them. I think they're really helpful for anything that you're doing in life. Yes, some are more film centric, but like even if you're just trying to get into a positive, fucking like productive mindset, it kind of like, kicks your ass into gear. Let's just say that. Um, yeah. And I think that, book will be helpful to just like any indie filmmaker in the future. Like if I meet somebody, I'm like, hey, take a copy, just fucking read it. Like I'm just going to give it to you because I think it's valuable. Okay. So, and to rant. I did watch some movies this week. I watched quite a few movies this week, actually, aside from like throwing some bullshit on here and there where I wasn't really watching it. I kind of sat down and low-key watched like the first 8 Friday the 13th movies. I didn't watch them like perfectly every fucking beat, but like a few of them I did. Some of them I was like, all right, I think if I tune in and out of this one, I'm not going to miss fucking too much because it's kind of not a lot going on anyways. But I threw on the first one because they're all on Amazon Prime right now. And I was like, you know what? Fuck, I do love Friday the 13th. It's been a huge movie for me. A lot of inspiration for other like shit I've written and like, uh, excuse me. The first one, my God, it's so good. It's so fucking classic. Stevie and I threw it on. I think it's 1980. I don't remember the year, but threw it on, and dude, it was just so classic. There's a little corny, but like, there's something about the way movies were shot back then. Something about the way people lived back then that you just want to like kind of like experience that time. I think like horror movies do a great job of that, especially like the 70s and 80s. They really capture like this Americana charm. First and foremost, I think the movie did that. It also starts like, the first Jason starts with a cold open, and I guess the first Friday the 13th technically. And it starts with the cold open where it's like 1955 at Camp Crystal Lake, and it's like two campers or two fucking counselors are going to go off to have like sex, and then they like get confronted by someone. We don't know who it is. If you've seen it, you know who it is. But they get stabbed, right? The camp closes down. 20 years later, they're trying to reopen the fucking place, make money, right? And we find out through the movie that there's like a slasher killing off the fucking counselors trying to stop the fucking camp from reopening, right? And in the end, you realize that the killer is actually, it's revealed rather, that the killer is actually like the mother, Pam Voorhees, of Jason Voorhees, a kid who drowned at the camp because counselors were not helping him when he was drowning, right? That's like the story. Okay, so it's a good misdirection. It's a good fucking twist. Very classic. I have to say, like, the first one is by far the best one. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I think the first one's like the best, like classic movie. It has that like Texas Chainsaw vibe, a little bit more fun and loose and corny, and a little bit more like horror comedy. But I mean, I get it. I get why it was a hit. I think it was also kind of like, not the first of its kind, but it definitely was like the defining slasher of like the 80s. It kind of kicked it off. Whereas Texas Chainsaw's a little different. Like, I guess it's slasher. It's its own thing. Texas Chainsaw Massacre is its own thing. But anyways, watch that. And like, we were just like, wow, this was fucking great. Like, I hadn't seen it in a minute. Like, it's as good as I remember. Watch two, watch three. Two and three were good. They're kind of like it's just one kind of rehashed twice. The fourth one and the fifth one and the sixth one, they get a little wonky. They kind of get into this like, there are like other places around the lake. It's Crystal Lake, but it's not Camp Crystal Lake. And like Jason's like getting into the lives of other people. It got a little not confusing, but it's just like, I don't know, it's very 80s, extremely 80s movies. It's got a lot of 80s actors and Corey Feldman's in it. And like, it's just, they're good. They're not bad. It's just a little all over the place. I think Crispin Glover was in one of them. It was random, but they're really fun. I'll say that. And that's what I like about Friday the 13th is that the movies are a bit more like, they're chill out movies. They're really not like as like, and people always think of horror movies and they're fucking so scary. Like, dude, they're not. They're almost like comedies. I throw them on. It feels like watching like almost like an Adam Sandler movie if it was R-rated. Mostly like it's like 50% like fucking party and sex, and then like 50% murder scenes. It's ridiculous, but they get more ridiculous as they go on too. And I'll say this, I liked them for what they're worth. I don't think I watched part 7. Maybe I did. I don't even fucking remember. I know I for sure watched part 8 though, the one where he goes to Manhattan, the New York one, and it's really fun. It's like hardly a fucking, like, they are like slashers and they are Jason movies, but they're like fucking ridiculous. They're not. They get so far away from the point. And I didn't watch them this week because I like watched like the ones that were on Amazon. Some of the other ones were like what do I call it? They were paywalled. So like I couldn't fucking buy them. I didn't want to buy them. They're like, $20 to buy a fucking, old Jason movie. I was like, I'm good. And I've seen them. Like, it's not like this is new shit for me. But like they had like Jason X, like Jason Goes to Space. They had like this one that's ridiculous. Actually pretty good. It's like probably like one of the shittiest ones, but it's like Jason dies or whatever, and like he kind of like goes from like body to body. It's very supernatural. It's nothing like the other ones, but like his heart gets like eaten by this guy and like transfers his soul to him, and then like he's different people in the movie. It's very weird, but yeah, like I know how fucking out there they get, and they kind of rebooted it in the 2000s and tried to ground that fucking franchise a little bit, but like I think the last good one they made was 2009, and I don't even know if they're making any more of it. I think they might be making a series. Anyways, I digress. Revisiting them was good. I saw a lot of the influence of Slugger in Friday the 13th, and I was like, oh yeah, like I could see like Slugger literally in some of the scenes. Like, it's funny, which is always good to have inspiration, have something to like never make it derivative, but like, that inspires the idea. And it was like, I think there's a reason why, because I watched those movies when I was young. I'm like watching them, like, I even remember, I'm like, oh, dude, like I thought they were old then. Now I'm watching them like they're old fucking flicks. But no, they're great. They're some of my favorite movies. I call them comfort movies at this point. Like the Friday the 13th, like, hey, they're not scary. They're fucking comfort movies. I think they're like staple horror. Like, it's a great, like I say this, like if you wanted a kid to fall in love with the horror genre, show them Friday the 13th. Show them when they're like 12 or 13. Kids will fucking go wild for that shit. They will love those fucking movies. That's when I saw them. And honestly, like, I would say it was an impressionable time in my life. It definitely like made me love the genre. Cause I used to be like one of those kids like horror movies, like, oh no, like too fucking scary for me. But I think it's because I'd only seen like scenes from like legitimately frightening films. And then when I started watching like I used to think Chucky was horrifying as a kid. Like, wouldn't even want to see him in the Universal fucking trailer that played on VHSs and DVDs. Because I'd see him pop up and I'm like, oh my fucking God, I was a pussy back then. But as an adult, no, like I love Scream, I love Ghostface, Chucky, I love fucking all the fucking horror characters. They're all so good. But Friday the 13th, I'd say, is probably like the movie that really like made me a fan of horror. And I used to really just watch the first one. I remember going with my buddy Jackson to the store. I've talked about this before on here. Going to Hollywood Video and fucking renting the Friday the 13th. So I might have talked about this last week, but maybe that's subconsciously why I watched them. But yeah, it was just something to do. And it was kind of like a ritual, a little tradition to do, And I've heard other cinephiles talk about it too. I think it's a way a lot of people find their way into like loving movies. I think it's also a little bit of a rite of passage when you're around that age. When you're like 12 or 13, you go to the store and you're like, hey, like, can we rent these R-rated movies? Your parents are like, They're R-rated because they show some fucking tits and, like, let people smoke weed and drink, and there's a little bit of gore, but it's so dated and cheesy, like, who gives a fuck? They're like, "Alright, kid, you can watch the Friday the 13th. Have fun." But anyways, had a great time watching those. It was just, refreshing, and Stevie even was like, "Fuck," like, I remember watching these, but he's like, "I finally, like, get it now as an adult." He's like, "They're good." It's a fucking the first one especially is a good watch, so it was fun revisiting that. I watched another movie, I watched Species. I'd never seen it. Species, 1995. I think the director was Roger Donaldson. I think he directed Cocktail as well. I was looking him up after I watched the movie, and I love Cocktail, so I'm not surprised I like Species. But Species was good. I've been watching a lot of alien movies. Been really into alien shit lately. Crime and aliens. I don't know. It's something in the water, I guess. But uh, I think alien movies are also gonna be really hot this summer with Disclosure Day coming out, that Spielberg flick. I think it's gonna be like all the rage. I think you're gonna have a wave of alien flicks. And I'm happy because there's quite frankly, there's not enough alien movies out there. But anyways, I digress. Species, 1995. Roger Donaldson had Michael Madsen in it, a few other actors, Forrest Whitaker, Ben Kingsley, Alfred Molina. I can't remember the lady's name, but she was in CSI. She played the ginger redhead chick. She was great in it. It was a great movie. I wasn't expecting to like it that much. Like, here's the deal. Like, I kind of said this last week. I've been like going on streaming. And I'm clicking through flicks, and I'm like, motherfucker. Like, it's endless. It could be like a fuck. I'll spend more time looking. Like when you go to eat, and you're like, I'm gonna look for something, and you just can't find something. You're halfway done eating by the time you're like, fuck it. Guess I'm just gonna fucking not watch something while I eat. It happens a lot more often than you think in this household. But yeah, lately I'm just like fire away. I see Species. I'm like, I've never fucking seen it. Click, put it on. If I like it, I'll watch it. If not, like, I'll give it like 5 to 10 minutes. I'll be like, all right, I think I'll know if this is good or bad. Or if it gets to, I'll even watch like 40 minutes of a movie. If it's at a point where I'm like, I just don't think it's good, sometimes I'll back out. Like, I'm at that point where I'm like, I'll give it enough and then I'll still fucking back out. But yeah, I watched Species, loved it, thought it was really unique. The pitch of the movie, I guess, is just like a signal from space gives them like a DNA sequence that they mix with like a human sequence, and they create like a hybrid alien, and the alien gets loose, and it looks like a little girl at first, but it's like growing rapidly. It's becoming like an adult quickly, and you see it becomes a woman, and then it wants to reproduce quickly, and it's like a kind of a chase movie. They're like a little team of scientists get assembled to chase down the alien, like experts. And Ben Kingsley's like the main scientist. He's kind of nefarious. Like he just wants to kill the alien. He's like, we got to stop this before we like fucking, it breeds or like we get bad press. That's all he cares about, protecting himself. And everyone else is kind of like, there's like a little philosophical element to it where people are kind of like, this alien, like, are we the predator or is this alien innocent? Like, kind of like plays both sides. One of the people, the scientist, is an empath, Forrest Whitaker, and he's like, he feels deeply, like to the point where scientists are like, hey, like you can actually sense like your emotions are really good. And it was cool. Like his character was actually like, it was interesting because like he brought a lot of the food for thought to the table. But on the other hand, so did Michael Madsen's tough guy, kind of like the professional killer, like hunter type of the group. He's the non-scientist, and he had a lot of philosophy too on like, human nature and stuff. That's what I like. The script, like it was a little, the guy had fun with the movie. He didn't make it too uh auteur to the point where it felt like, oh, like I'm watching something too serious. It was fun, kind of action vibe, with the space alien element, but there was levity and there was like serious moments where like the beats hit a little deeper because you're like, okay, he's actually like making this feel like a moment. And that's what it was. He really knew how to shape the scene. He knew when to make it frightening. Like there were some scenes where like, and special effects were good. I was actually really impressed. Like I think I saw this movie when I was a kid. It was almost like a fever dream for me. I'm like, whoa, like have I seen this before? There were some scenes where like the girl was like killing guys and doing stuff with like her tongue, like it was like a sexual scene, but like, would kill them, like the alien girl. And I'm like, I think I saw this as a kid. Like it was just like I like a fucking core memory unlocked. I'm like, I think I might have like watched this, at one point. Probably wasn't supposed to be, but I love the idea. I love these alien movies. A movie I watched a while back as well was The Arrival with Charlie Sheen. It was really good. It just there's something about like alien movies that have their own tropes and they have their own like plot devices. They're very like I love genre. I think that's the thing is like when I watch an alien movie or a horror movie, etc. Like I really see it in genre. I see the tropes. I see the fucking way that you do it because it is this genre. I see the homage paid to other films in the genre. And I don't know. It's something about, and I think a lot of auteurs probably think that way as well. But like, working in genre is something that's not. It's not even easy. It's just there's a lot of self awareness. I think to comprehend like, hey, this genre is like they do these things because this is how it is. That's also part of the writer brain in me as well. Is that like you know you have to kind of know the anatomy of those types of genres. You need to know like, oh, this trope goes with this, or like, like a trope for vampires is vampires don't like the light. Their skin burns in the light. That's something that most vampire movies and shit will be like, well, we can't forget that fucking element. Otherwise people might be like, well, these are the first vampires ever to not have the fucking sunburn their skin. Unless it's Twilight, they fucking sparkle. You know, you can change the rules up, I guess, if you want. But those are like kind of, I guess, like even like I just said the word rules, but like genres have rules and you can break the fucking rules. No one's saying you can't. When people break the rules, often they have a lot of success. People are like, wow, like they broke the fucking genre away from the mold, which usually is a good sign. But sometimes you want to, play inside the box. And I think Species or like The Arrival, like I mentioned, we also just watched Pluribus. I missed a few episodes in between, but I did like the show. Stevie was just like, I gotta watch it, and he didn't want to group it out. So we're like, all right, go ahead. And I caught like the ending despite missing a few episodes. I'm like, fuck, like it's different than Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul, but Pluribus is a really great show. It's its own vibe, very thought provoking, very philosophical. I feel like when you go into the alien territory, you're already going into like a existential field of thought because like, no one knows for sure if there's extraterrestrial life. And I think that's like, why it feels so philosophical. It's like it's a great question. It's like, well, what is the chance of like other life existing, and what would it be like, or what is the purpose of like life here? And like I think Pluribus does that well. I think The Arrival, like I said, and like Species, they're thought-provoking movies. And I think maybe it's because like the idea of other life being either like good or bad, or similar or different, like we don't know, but there's so much like so much left to question, a lot to ponder on, to say the least, about fucking aliens and such. But yeah, been enjoying that. I also started watching Contact yesterday. I've never seen it, with Jodie Foster and Matthew McConaughey, and it's good so far. I think I'm about 40 minutes in. I'm gonna finish that shit tonight. Really enjoying these alien movies though. There's something about it, I think it's the alien movie. My go-to alien movie is usually Signs. I feel like that's maybe like we call it the quintessential alien movie, but I think it's just very fucking well done. And I've talked about Signs on here, and I'll probably talk about Contact and some other movies next week. But yeah, that's pretty much been my week. Just been fucking busy. Just super fucking busy doing the move. It's Monday today, so I don't have fucking open houses like all weekend. Like last weekend, like I just barely could be home. I had to take my fucking cat with me to the other house. She was meowing the whole time in the car. There's like fucking 4 other cats at this other house. I had to like put her in a room alone, and like thankfully it was all good when we got there. But yeah, it's been busy. It's been a lot of fucking moving parts, and I don't know. I just want to get back to shooting and fucking and not just shooting the pod. Like I mean, shooting cinema and shooting fucking footage. I was on a roll before we like put the house on the market, and like I was enjoying posting my little collages every day on social, like with the fucking frames, and being like, look what I shot today. So, and you know what? Maybe I'll go out and shoot tonight. Maybe I'll go get some frames and post them, and just keep the ball rolling. I also have been like doing a lot of like I call it pre-writing. I haven't been writing because like I have like had to have all my shit's been packed up. Like I got my laptop out today. Maybe I'll write a little bit today, but like I just like it ready to go. I'm old school, like to sit down at the desk and just like type. I'm like a fucking old man when it comes to that shit. But now that everything's out, maybe I'll go shoot something. Maybe we'll do a little short. Maybe we'll I don't know, just fuck around with the camera, have some fun. But anyways, I think that's about all I got, guys. It's been a fucking, like I said, busy week, but it was a good week. I'm excited to just, get back to filmmaking, get into the new place, and fucking, rock and roll, as they say. Anyways, guys, that's all I got. I'm out. Like I always say, I'll talk to you all next week. Nah, fuck. I don't even know why I try and do an outro. Why do I try and do it? I don't even know what it is. What is it? Usually just happens naturally. Anyways, I think that's all I got. I'm Devin Thomas, and this has been another episode of Unscripted. I'll talk to you all next week.